Yo, welcome back to part two. Without further ado, here's the continuation of our conversation. So, since Terror Raids are almost the lateral comparison of the Dynamax, or the Max Raid Dens, do you think there will be a lateral of the Dynamax Adventures for the Terror Raids?
I really, really want there to,
Me
but
too.
we went over this a little earlier when I was saying I really want to see um a past and future version of Eevee come out eventually. And it's just like, yeah, that'd be really awesome. I don't suspect it's gonna happen just because it's like, oh yeah, it'd be really cool. It'd be awesome if Nintendo, or in this case Game Freak
Yeah.
did cool things.
Right, but
Um
they don't really seem to listen like
No, they
much at
100%
all.
don't listen to fans like at all. Um, yeah, I would very much like to see something like that pop up in one of the DLCs. Um, like I just told you, I haven't watched what got revealed in this latest trailer yet, which from what I've heard, it doesn't sound like a whole lot was.
I
Um,
mean, it kind of laid out some very basic details of the areas that they're going to take place in. Like, one is going to be underwater and the other one is going to be uh, the school or whatever.
yeah. Um, I'd like to see it come back. I don't. The fact that the Gen 9 came out and it seemed to undo a lot of the things that the Sword and Shield DLCs kind of introduced makes me think it's probably not going to come back.
Most likely not. I feel like if it was, it would be a thing that they would be like touting
Which
right out of the gate.
that is kind of unfortunate because I really liked the concept of Dynamax Adventures and I feel like you could go further with that. Like one of the things I'd actually like to see is a version of Dynamax Adventures where you just it's all legendary Pokemon and that's
All
it.
right.
And the end bosses are like super like buffed up legendary Pokemon or something
That
like
would be
that.
good.
That to me would be awesome, but I don't see those coming back sadly.
I'd have to agree. I think that if they were, they would have been mentioned right out of the gate. Been like, "Oh, here's this new adventure style or adventure mode thingy."
I mean, with any luck, if they don't bring him back, we get something else new that's you can do with people, but I don't know if it's going to be as good as those.
So, here's the real question, and this is probably the most important one of them all. Do you think Shieldbert is coming back?
Yeah, 100% confirmed for Smash.
Fucking hate those two so much. I don't even remember the other one. It's Sword and Nurse and Sword and Shieldbert.
Sword word.
Sword word. Oh my
Or
god.
as we
Yeah,
refer
sword
to
word.
it,
Yeah, sword word. Yeah.
it is this man with shield hair and this other man that has penis hair.
It looks like a giant fucking stupid yellow top hat or something.
They
I that was oh my god.
That was a painfully cringe moment for Sword and Shield.
That was oh. Yeah,
There's
how old is
there
it? It's been 3 years and it's like oof.
there
Oof.
was a there's a YouTuber I watch called the Salt Factory who he does these real hour to 2 hour depending on the game long deep dives
Oh.
into games, and his when it came to Sword and Shield he got up to that part, he reads off their names. It's just you can tell he's very unenthused, and he's just like, I'm not fucking doing it. I'm not covering this part.
Like fuck this, I don't acknowledge this
Yeah,
thing's
he does.
existence.
He just completely. He's like, I'm not doing it. He's basically it was good because he's going through Sword and Shield, and he's like, this isn't. He's in the beginning of it. He's like, this isn't bad. I'm not entirely sure where all the negativity's coming from. Right up until you got to the end, where it's just the super rushed end of the story and all that. And he's just like, no, I get why people are pissed now. Like going through the game, all that, right up until they try to be like, oh no, it's the darkest day and all that. And he's just like, no, I don't want to do any of that. Just going around collecting gym badges, that was great. The moment you tried to do plot and failed this badly, I'm pissed now.
Yeah, because then it became almost tedious to go through the plot, or to like have to sit through, and I think Sun and Moon actually really suffered from this. The like constant story, like constant
Sun and Moon.
cutscenes.
This is what I've noticed, because Gen 5 suffered from it too, where it was like if you got to a new region, you got to a new city, there would be like
there's always something
brief thing. But with Gen 5, it was super quick. It's like, okay, we're here. Here's a little brief interaction. Maybe we're going to let you just go off and do something, but you still have full free reign to explore the area.
right.
But yeah, with Gen 7, it was like, here's a possibly 10-minute, if you're lucky, cutscene. And it's just like, I don't care.
Yeah, and it was usually them repeating what they just said 5 fucking seconds ago. You go from the one end of the street to the other end of the street, and you have to go through. I punched my microphone. I'm so fucking pissed off about it. You have to sit through at least 10 minutes of absolute annoying bullshit.
You get to a new area, and it's How being like, I'm gonna go. What is it? A Masalada or whatever the hell it is. I'm gonna go find Masalda or some shit like that. He's like, I'm gonna go find this and eat this, and it's just like, I don't give a shit. You are the worst rival we have ever had. Please
I don't give a shit.
And then you had somebody like the one in Gen 6 that was literally just a cardboard cutout. They didn't have a personality. And he is still worse.
Okay, so let's talk about the actual rival for this game. The performance. So what I think it boils down to is that Game Freak does not know how to develop for hardware any more powerful than a DS. Even with the 3DS, their games ran like turds. Sun and Moon were still the worst ones to date, if you ask me. It's pretty bad. There's spots in this game where the shadows don't know that they exist.
So I know, as far back as Gen 6, that was the first time I ever remember really hearing people talk about like it really wasn't just directed at Game Freak. I think a lot of people were also directing it, and I still think to an extent people direct it at Nintendo a little bit, because when it comes to like, that's usually because of online connectivity. We're in 2023, Nintendo still hasn't figured out online.
Smash Bros.
Yeah. But Gen 6 is the first time I remember hearing people talk about Game Freak does not know how to optimize their games.
No, they're terrible at it.
That was because of the horde battles. Speaking of features that we got right away and then immediately disappeared, even though they were fantastic.
Yeah, I brought those up a little bit ago. Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, even double battles in those games lagged horribly. Or I guess not lag; they slowed down. Noticeable drop in frames.
Well, like,
and then
the 3DS games, if you got more than 2 Pokemon, sometimes just the 2. If there was any sort of like particle effects, like the leaves falling, if the leaves were falling, the game hit like 5 FPS.
And then I know I didn't hear about it at the time, but obviously when Sword and Shield came out, and they started, data mining hard into the other games. They were talking about, things like, okay, this scene has Lily in it, but instead of Lily being just a character that in like a database that'd be like, okay, load in Lily EXE or something like that. It would be completely different instances for each cutscene. And it's
That's
just like, man,
right.
that fills up a lot of space.
I never understood that her model was different in almost every single cutscene she was in.
They, from what I had been told, they did that they wanted it to have seamless loading. Which, I mean, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, sure, but why sacrifice that for such a
It's
small thing?
that's this goes back into it. I think what they value and what they think their fans or the people that are playing this game should value are very, very different things.
Absolutely.
It's, they're going through all these hoops to make it play like this, and we're just over here like, no, it's not what we care about.
Right. There was I I don't, maybe I'm spoiled by high frame rates, like might play PC and whatnot. But like there were so many times in this game where I actually cringed from how bad it was running or looking. Like every time you press the jump button when you're riding your bike mon, it's like, okay, we're gonna stop. Okay, get into the jump position. We're gonna do a 1 frame jump, hit it, and we're at the top of our jump, and we're gonna slowly fall down. Okay, we're on our way. And there were
This
spots where it was like, okay, yeah, there we go.
this definitely comes into the what I had said earlier about the games not being as high of quality anymore. Um, as much as I enjoyed Scarlet and Violet, yeah, I would look at there's what 4 core series of Pokemon games on the Switch now. Even with Arceus, same thing. I had a ton of fun with it. But when I look at all of these games visually, it's like these are some of the worst looking Switch games that are out there.
That are on the Switch, absolutely.
Also,
And that's actually, I fucking punched my
I
microphone. I
want
get
to
so mad
say
about it again.
because I know myself and the internet brought up the Sword and Shield tree a lot, which you gave me shit about for a while. It's like it's just a tree.
It's totally legit.
Well, not only that, like since then, I've played a lot of indie games, and seen behind the scenes and everything when they do those videos, and to see the effort and passion they put into like sprite work and everything, it's just like these are 2D games. They're still sprite work, and to see people putting this much effort in, and then to get into Sword and Shield, and you see that tree, and it's just like, how much money do your guys' games normally make, and you can't make something that looks better than that?
Like, I'm sorry, who's the biggest IP in the world? What's that?
Yeah, it's just it amazes me how much they want to be like, no, we are small indie team, and it's like you're not. You
It
guys
really is. It's
really got to
amazing.
get out of that mindset.
It's amazing how unpolished this game is really seen when it came out. I mean, still, they really didn't address any of the
No,
issues.
the one big patch I can say they have done that I know of. There's been 2 that I know of for sure. One of them had something to do with online competitive stuff. There was some issue with that, and they addressed it. And the other one that I know for sure that it's the earliest one they addressed was there were people that were able to use a exploit because of how broken the game was,
Yeah.
and they could duplicate items, and they
Yep.
they pounced on that right away. And it's just like, you will pounce on that right away, but these
But
games
you
are
won't deal with the
still,
actual problems.
yeah, no, why would they?
Right. Like overall it seems unpolished, rushed, and like
Oh,
hard on the
it
eye.
is rushed.
So you brought up there's constant like shimmering and jittering, and it seems that they have never heard and Nintendo in general has never heard of anti-aliasing. Like they do not
um
know what that is. It's so like every single thing has this shimmer around it that makes it painfully obvious that they have never even thought of adding anti-aliasing to any of their games.
I don't know if this is the same thing. It's been the main one I always notice, and it's very jarring. It's usually when you're flying around at high speed and there's like a cliff or something in front of you, it will like extend out. I don't know I don't know if it's like the texture or if it's like the model loading in or something.
Oh, it like
But
shifts.
yeah, it like it does. It
I
like
forgot
stretches
about
out,
that.
and it's just that has been the main jarring one because like, why is it doing that? Like, what is that? What
Yeah, I
causes
forgot
that?
all about that. And like a lot of the game, if you're like running along a like cliff edge or something, you'll see it just kind of like morph as you get within like 10 feet of it. It'll just like change. And
Yeah, that is
everything is extremely shiny.
it is very disorienting. Yeah. Um, I mean, other than that, the main one people are focused on is anything that's more than like 10 feet away from you. Obviously, it looks like they've put it down to 2 frames a second. It's just like, oh
Yeah.
yeah, look at that toy soldier in the background walking.
Right. There's like two characters on screen. One of them is 6 feet away, and they're like 1 frame, 2 frame, 1 frame, 2 frame, 1 frame, 2 frame.
I I've definitely know, yeah, that has been a big one. People comparing new games to old games, and they're pointing out like black and white, and it's like when you got into Castelia City, like granted a lot of those NPCs are just on an animation loop, but like
Yeah, but
Castelia City
that
felt
was the most
busy. It felt like a
lively.
city.
That was the most lively crowd that they have ever produced.
Yep. And it's just like, yeah, you don't get anything like that on these new games.
So one thing that we'll move on to one of the few pros that I've had about these, at least the last two games, is that the music was actually pretty good. On Sword and Shield, I thought the music was actually slapping. Like I
Yeah,
thought it was
well,
really good.
the Sword and Shield gym theme is for sure up there with probably some of the most iconic music that has come out of the Pokemon series.
I'd agree.
As for Scarlet and Violet, I'm not going to sit here and be like, "Oh, the music was bad," but I can't think of a track that it had where I was just like, "Yeah, no, this is good. This is bumping."
So it wasn't. Yeah, there was never any point where I was like, "Wow, this music is bad." I really liked Area Zero's music. I thought that music was actually pretty sweet. But
I I can't
it,
recall it. Now thinking about that, I'm gonna have
go
to
down and listen to it, and you'll probably be like, "Okay, this is actually not bad."
the main one I'm thinking I'm feel like I'm remembering it, but I'm gonna have to probably look it up online after we're done with this. I feel like the final battle against the professor. I'm wanting to say they had their own theme song, and if I remember correctly, that one wasn't too bad.
There was actually a lot of different battle musics in this game, and that was one of the next things that I had was aside from it like changing every time you'd get on and off your bicycle, the music would change, and it was kind of annoying actually. But I did like that the battle music actually changed depending on what part of the world you were in.
I guess to go along with that, because I don't. Everyone blames shit on Masuda, and I'm just over here like I don't actually know how much Masuda's actually involved in
Right.
anything. Basically, I would assume he's still very involved in the music, just because the music has still just been a consistent point of the games.
At the beginning of Sword and Shield, you go into the Misty Forest or whatever. I can't remember what it's called. The Forbidden Forest.
Oh no, no,
The music
it's
starts playing, and I was like, "Holy shit! This bass line is just like actually slapping me in the face." And it was like, I could sit here and just listen to this music. Or when you first run into a Zacian, like in that same forest,
yeah,
the
yeah.
music was absolutely bitchin'.
For me, it is still the gym leader theme was just
It was great.
that was fantastic. I know I'm not the only one that has that opinion. Like that was up there.
I agree.
For me, it's
So
like most iconic themes. It's like okay, we got the Lance theme, the Cynthia theme, a Ho-Oh theme for me, just because I really like that one, and then the
yeah,
Sword and
actually.
Shield Sword and Shield gym leader music. It's just goddamn.
What's up, everyone? Thanks for watching. Be sure to check back for part 3 to check out the conclusion for our conversation here. All right, take care. Peace.